In this video, I'm going to be documenting my journey on my struggles and failures with social interactions. Specifically, the negative thoughts that I have with social interactions and doing better in those areas. Um, so, why am I making this video? Well, um, Ali Abdaal, who's a very successful self development medical student YouTuber, he made a video about how you should kind of document your journey, where no matter what it is, whether you're trying to learn piano from scratch or become a med student, he feels like everyone should kind of document their journey and a lot of the insecurities you have from people who might make fun of it or think it's weird or or whatnot, think you're pompous for doing so. They don't really care. They're concerned about their own life. So I thought they had some point, but at the same time, I was a little nervous because you know social conversation or something kind of more personal is definitely more susceptible to be uh, made fun of or feel insecure about than something like practicing the piano. However, the day after, I came across this video about this woman who is starting college as an adult at the age of 30. Her channel is called Lena X Bosco. And so I just felt, wow, that's a very vulnerable thing to share. She's very confident about her struggles, very transparent. And it seems like she got a very positive response with it. And I decided, I could share something that I've been pretty successful with and I've been somewhat documenting over the years, like my fitness journey, which I've been kind of sharing progressively over the years on Instagram. But why share something that I've just kind of succeeded at, which I've documented on my Instagram and my email newsletter? Um, some mostly successful. I mean, not completely, but generally trending very much up. That's kind of shooting fish in a barrel. What about share something that I've definitely struggling to work with? Now, you might be a student and you're mostly used to my videos on how to succeed in productivity or studying or taking exams in school. How would that relate to this? Well, to be honest, it doesn't completely relate, but maybe you can find something out of it because social intelligence, emotional intelligence, are something I'm very passionate about because I know they matter a lot in the real world. And if you want to succeed in the real world, not just in school, which I assume you do, you probably want to do well in school because you want to succeed in the real world, then you want to get better at social skills. So maybe you might learn a thing here or two about that could actually help you land that job or start that company or whatever that you really want to do one day because they screen for that in job interviews as well. So to keep this video short, I think in terms of my struggle with uh, social skills, I think um, one thing I wanted to cover was just my general kind of low performance in social skills in high school and middle school. I wasn't horrible, but I was definitely kind of subpar. I was very shy at times, and I did start to open up and be um, more confident when certain people I would hang out with. There's a small group at my cross country club and track and field that I took the plunge to join those clubs, and I found the kind of like uh, nerdy people that were very welcoming to me, and it kind of opened me up a bit. But while I did find that in school, there were very small groups, and usually it was like people that I met that weren't even in my grade level. They were like one grade level below me, and like I would hang out with them when I could, but it was like rare that we would bump into each other. Like maybe one lunch uh, per week. So back in school, it was kind of a crappy time in a way because I wasn't that popular kid, and I would eat lunch kind of alone a lot, and except for those moments where I would be courageous enough to kind of explore that, and sometimes that wouldn't work out, they'd be somewhat friendly to me, but then they would kind of move to their own group still, and so there's those heartwarming moments where, in a specific class or a specific lunch period, I did have those, people who were friendly and treated me like uh, equals. But that didn't happen often, and so I think I was kind of insecure because of that, unconfident because of that, and oftentimes really sad and kind of upset about it. And so, luckily, I kind of got that balanced out somewhat because there were those heartwarming moments where people of different ethnicity, same ethnicity, similar background, maybe geeky or nerdy or didn't even care who they were themselves. They kind of reached out, and or they were just welcoming when I would talk to them. So, looking back, if I could do that again, I think I would have focused more on those heartwarming moments, and maybe been more open to actually uh, talking and reaching out to some people. I think part of me just assumed, well, no one's really talking to me, so uh, you know, no one's really reaching out to pull me in, and so I ended up just kind of sitting alone at lunch, which really, like, even to this day, tough on my psyche because um, it was kind of sad, like, because you would spend the entire lunch period just hearing everyone else talking, and it was like a double whammy because you'd be constantly reminded that you're alone and just uh, fall into that cycle. So yeah, I think there's definitely some people that were very friendly to me. I remember people who would be super friendly in class to me, help me with chemistry or Spanish or computer science, and maybe I should have extended those into greater relationships after class, or stayed more in touch somehow. But I guess because it was just one off class and then you're off to a different class, I just never really thought to do that much, or they never really extended the hand, so I don't know, it just kind of dissipated. Um, I remember there's a PE class where there's this one guy who's super friendly to me and like super warm. But since we never really uh, saw each other outside of that class, same type of thing. And so there's a lot of periods where I was just kind of acquaintances with people around, and you know something just never clicked. Where uh, in some instances I would kind of be separate. So that was kind of my social skills back then. And then to kind of document my journey, I definitely tried to branch out in college as well. And I wanted to kind of uh, work on developing that. Freshman year was pretty decent. We had a whole floor of people who were kind of nerdy engineer types like me. And the thing with college though is a lot of people float in and out. They're off to different clubs doing their own thing, and they may switch majors often. And so I initially it was a very friendly group, and then they just kind of started to dissipate, go in their own ways. And um, you know kind of during that time, I think I focused too much on school, and so I kind of really there were moments where I should have kind of been more welcoming to them, and I was pretty friendly and stuff. But I remember a couple of times where they asked me if I want to go eat lunch with them, but I was like, school, school, school. I got to focus on school. So I said no a couple of times, and then they just kind of stopped asking. Um, Having said that, there were times after where I tried to kind of go along with them, ask them if they wanted to uh, go to lunch. And I think over time you just kind of found your groove. And I thought I had like a good friendship with them or hung out with them. But I guess there are deeper pockets where some people were more deeper friends. Because like halfway through the year, turns out all of them had already decided and signed up for the dorm that they were going to live in the next year. And everyone had already almost figured it out, and no one had even told me. So apparently, like, they had already figured out roommates. Even the roommate I was bunking with had already chosen someone else. So unfortunately, I just kind of felt a little left out again, because like um, basically like they were kind of already figured it out, and I guess I wasn't, uh, connected enough or good enough friends to be informed. And it may have just been an oversight or whatnot, but still. So I'm going to keep this video short. I mean, I can kind of talk about it all over, but in the spirit of documenting my journey, I kind of want to just quickly fast forward to now, and then maybe in the future I'll do another video on this. But now I think in certain ways I've progressed, and other ways I still have a lot to go. In terms of negativity and dwelling on things, um, I think there's definitely still things going on with that in my life, where I will kind of see uh, social situations, and if no one says hi to me first, if no one really talks to me or reaches out to me, I'm like, man, how come no one's really going out of their way to talk to me? Sometimes I'll go to the gym, and since I go to a CrossFit gym, you see a lot of recurring faces there, and sometimes they'll be talking amongst themselves before, during, after the workout, and they won't talk to me, and I'll be like, get really negative about that. I'll be like, man, how come they're always friendly to other people, and how come they never talk to me? How come they always hang around others? And sometimes I have to shake that off and fight with the facts. um, I'll be like, well, you did talk to that person a few times initially first, and they're always pretty friendly. They'll talk back. And hey, that person you think you're so mad about, didn't you hang out with him one on one outside of class? You extended your hand, he reached out back, and you ended up, hanging out outside of class and having a fun time then. So, is he really against you, or hate you, or dislikes you? Maybe it's just in your head. So I've gotten better at becoming aware of it and fighting it. And sometimes it doesn't always win, and sometimes I don't always believe it. But I think I've gotten a little bit better at that, and it's still something I continue to kind of struggle and work with, because sometimes I still think, well, no, he doesn't like me. That just kind of sucks. Um, but on the flip side, I've tried out a lot of activities inside and outside of work, and I've been able to. Um, a lot of clubs just didn't work. They're just kind of one-off clubs, like book clubs, or uh, like I tried a few kickball leagues, sports leagues, and sometimes a lot of those, like Toastmasters, they just have a lot of older demographic that tends to show up that I don't necessarily click with that well, in terms of like being good friends, or they show up once and they never show up again, or they're just there for light acquaintances to talk about an activity. I went to like a Harry Potter club, and it was kind of similar, but you don't really keep in touch afterwards, and it's a very like light, shallow relationship. They're just there to talk Harry Potter for that one meeting. So the one thing I didn't give up, and the one thing that did stick was CrossFit, and there are a few people, not everyone, not a lot, but a few people that I have kind of um, developed good relationships with. One in particular that I hang out with outside of CrossFit, and we play Pokemon Go and stuff. So I have made friendships, and I've also kind of worked on rekindling friendships with people that I have lost touch with in previous years. I found that this is more of an active effort that requires work, requires me to extend my hand sometimes, because you can't always just rely on other people to do so. And finally, I've been really emphasizing the importance of mental health. And with the savings I do have, which isn't a lot, but I've been budgeting, I've been investing into a therapist. And that therapist has helped me work out and realize these things, and think about things differently, and think, well, don't put all this pressure on yourself to assume X, Y, and Z about someone, but, think about, maybe give them the chance to extend their hand. If they don't like you, let them make that clear to you. Don't just assume it and put all this pressure on yourself to draw conclusions. So, I could talk about this a lot. Maybe I'll give a more documented example of a specific situation. I don't know. But it was my little experiment, and I guess I felt I admired some of the courage of some of these other people like Lena X Basco, who, documented her journey and experience of going to college for 3 years as an adult. So I don't know. I think that there's definitely a certain level of privacy and vulnerability that should not be crossed. But I don't know. I felt like this was something that could be potentially useful to share. I don't think it fully crosses that line, but it's something that is unique. It's documenting not just practicing piano, and I can share with you that as well. I'm been documenting my journey to learn music production, but why share just something kind of basic like that when I could try this? In the past, I have kind of shared stuff around this line, around dating advice and my dating life, and maybe that was just a little too personal, or maybe just all over the place, because it attracted some very negative people who, maybe, I don't know what it was, they had horrible lives themselves, but they left nasty comments. And over time I realized that was about them, not me. Like, they were struggling, and they were like kind of telling me I'm a loser. But then, when you really look into it and how heated they were about it, I think they were trying to, it was about themselves. And it hurt me at first, but after they kept leaving those comments, it was like, whoa, this dude. It took me a couple years, but I'm like, man, this dude, like, he keeps leaving them even when I'm talking about productivity, and I'm like, this guy probably has some serious issues about himself, and that's why he keeps leaving comments saying that I'm a loser in dating. Like, whoa, you gotta chill. So subscribe, like, hopefully this video taught you something at least.